When we first introduced the Driving Business Growth program, we talked that the program had 5 separate components, or as I call them, pillars. Pillar number 1 deals with leadership and self-awareness. The second pillar deals with strategy. Pillar number 3 deals with the structure of your organization. Pillar number 4 dealt with the systems and procedures within your organization. And the last pillar, pillar number 5, which since it's the 5th one, doesn't necessarily mean it's the least important, is the people who work for your organization, your team. In fact, I could almost make the argument that that's probably, if not the first, at least the second most important one, because it's your team that ties it all together, follows the procedures and systems to create that experience for your customers, which cause them to buy more from you and to refer other individuals to you. So we're going to open up with the first segment of pillar number 1, which deals with mindset. Now, why is mindset important? Now, mindset is what I humorously refer to as the 7 inches between your ears. What goes on up there determines what you're going to do actually during the course of the day. It reflects your attitude, and your attitude reflects your behaviors. So it's critically important that you have the right mindset, not only at the beginning of every day, but that you maintain it for your entire journey as a leader or as a CEO or as an entrepreneur. So mindset for our discussions have 9 separate concepts that we're going to talk about. The first element of mindset is going to be self-belief. Let's talk about that. Self-belief is literally what you believe in yourself. It comprises positive self-talk. It comprises whether or not you have a vision and your dreams. And it comprises whether or not you can nurture and develop that voice in the back of your head that says you can do this, that you can take criticism, you can learn from mistakes, and you can move forward believing in yourself, having the right attitude at the beginning, end of every day. So let's talk about that. Self-belief to me means you trust your gut. You have to weigh information, make a decision. You'll have a logical approach, an emotional approach, but at the end of the day, you have to trust your gut that you're doing the right things. Next is you want to be comfortable in your own skin. You want to make sure that you have those feelings and beliefs that despite what the challenge might be, you can determine a way to work through it. Push yourself forward. Try to make something happen. Self-belief helps to fuel action. And finally, if you have a strong belief in yourself, good self-confidence, good self-esteem, no one is going to stop you from achieving your dreams. And more importantly, no one is going to stop you or try to talk you out of pursuing your dreams. We've all heard naysayers say to us, "Oh, why do you want to do that? You can't do that. You know, that's not something you should be doing." If you believe in it and have the passion to work towards it, that will fuel your self-belief. You know, I believe that you need to be comfortable in your own skin, take care of yourself, like yourself, before you can contribute and achieve anything else along the way. The next element of mindset is having a healthy sense of urgency. Now, when we hear a sense of urgency sometimes, we have a visualization of people rushing around, running here, running there, grabbing this, grabbing that. That's not what we're talking about. That is destructive. Now, when I say a sense of urgency, I'm talking about an orientation towards action, that you have clarity as to what exactly you're trying to achieve, by when, how it's important to your organization, and that you can focus on it with an orientation towards action. And action is a key concept to remember. Organizations move forward vis-a-vis action, not a bunch of people standing around thinking about what they're going to do. You want to create that orientation towards action, not only for yourself personally, but for the remainder of your team. Now, to do that requires that you analyze data before you can make a decision to take action. Now, that's all well and good, but you want to be certain that you don't get caught up in data collection and data analysis so much to the point that you become paralyzed and you've overloaded yourself with information. Look, we live in a not-so-perfect world, and there are times when we are required to make a decision on either imperfect or incomplete information. But a decision needs to be made because only through action do we continue to move forward. You want to encourage your team to develop the same concepts, the same culture, if you will, within the confines of their positions. Now, we don't want people running around willy-nilly taking action on this or that just because you've told them to take action. But what we do want is to have a team focused on a particular outcome and understanding what the actions that need to be taken. And that, to me, is a healthy sense of urgency when action is taken within the selected time frames and we achieve the specific objective or outcome as whatever you may desire it to be. Now, the next component of mindset is what I call your mantra, your daily mantra, your daily winning mantra. Anything that gets you in the right perspective, the right mind frame in order to tackle the challenges that we all face during the course of a day. Now, you could also call this positive self-talk. So let me give you the 7 components of what I consider to be a winning mantra. And this is something that I use with all of my clients. Number 1 is you say to yourself, before the day starts, you're sitting at your desk by yourself, maybe with that first cup of coffee. The first thing I want you to say to yourself is, no matter what happens today that was not planned or is a surprise, I'll be able to handle it. You've got to be able to have that flexibility to think on your feet. The second thing is, I will be the master of the day's events. All too often, we allow ourselves to become victims of other people's problems, other people's actions, or other people's lack of actions. You want to be the master of your day's activities. Third, you want to remind yourself of what the 3 most important tasks are that you will accomplish that day. And if you don't accomplish those tasks, then you'll not be happy with your performance. These 3 most important tasks do not have to be complex. They could be a part of something bigger. But you need to have the clarity as to what, at a minimum, the 3 most important things you must get done that day. And reminding yourself of it first thing in the morning is a great way to get started. Now, the 4th one is critically important, that you commit, your mantra is to say no to any and all distractions that come your way. If someone comes to you wanting your time, you say no if it's not appropriate, or if it's not convenient for you at that point to stop what you're doing. Learn to say no. It doesn't mean you're being rude. It means you're being protective of what you need to be doing and the achievement you're trying to work on during the course of the day. Number 5, which is part of number 4, saying no, is your time is your time. Or if I were saying it, my time is my time, and only I can give it away. Nobody else can take it unless I give them permission. The 6th one is that you agree and tell yourself that you have clarity and focus on exactly what you want to accomplish that day. Ties back to what are the 3 most important things you're going to do. But again, it's critically important that we remind ourselves again that clarity and focus have got to be the marching orders of the day. The minute we lose clarity, the minute we lose focus, is when we become susceptible to more distractions. In fact, I encourage my clients that if you find yourself losing clarity or focus, you put yourself in timeout. You take a 10-minute break. You change the scenery, physically and mentally. It's like a reboot for your mind. When you come back from your break, I guarantee you, you'll be thinking better with clarity, and you'll be able to tackle those challenges as they arise. And the last one, in terms of your daily mantra, the last component is that you remind yourself that self-discipline is a key to your success. And along with self-discipline is persistence, that you're not going to give up, you're going to stay at something until you complete it. And remember, self-discipline, very simply, is doing what you're supposed to do, when you're supposed to do it, even though you don't feel like doing it. Another important concept under the umbrella of mindset involves our confidence and what I call willingness. Now, we all struggle with confidence at times. We all want to be more self-confident. But we often wonder, how do we do that without shaking our very belief system in ourselves? And to me, I like to link confidence with willingness in terms of you gain confidence by doing certain things. You improve your level of self-confidence by taking certain actions. But you have to be willing to take those actions. You know, anyone who goes to the Olympics wants to win a gold medal. The question is, are they willing to do the work? Are they willing to take on the sacrifice that is necessary in their personal life in order to win that gold medal? So if you're looking to increase your confidence, build more self-confidence, you have to be willing to do a couple of things. One is you have to be willing to take action when you believe it's appropriate, even if you don't have all the facts. Next, you've got to be willing to put yourself out there for all to see. You want people to see what you can do when put to the challenge. Next is your willingness to make mistakes. Look, it's not a perfect world. We make mistakes. A person who is building their confidence realizes that, but uses a mistake in order to learn from it, and that'll help prepare them to better the next time. Next, you want to be willing to, on occasion, when necessary, to stick your neck out and take a risk. Not a crazy risk, but a risk that you've examined, studied, that you think makes logical sense. After that, your confidence is built when you don't worry what other people think of you. I want you to be true to yourself, not what others expect from you. If you believe that something is the right action, then you should take it. And finally, learn to periodically question your status quo. You don't want to be surprised by something you thought was working well and you find out that it wasn't. And when that happens, that's one way to really rattle your self-confidence. So I want you to be proactive and to question your status quo periodically so that you catch those surprises before they become surprises. Now, we've described this next component of mindset as be, but really it's who do you need to be? There's a concept out there, and I'm not sure who originally created it, called be, do, have. And very simply, it's who do you need to be in order to do the things you need to do to have what you want. For example, who do you need to be in order to do the right things with respect to diet and exercise to have a healthy lifestyle? Who do you need to be in order to learn financial aspects and accounting in order to be an excellent chief financial officer? And what they then do is they immediately start doing certain things without changing the very being of their existence, their core. For example, again, going back to the diet example, I might, for the first week or two of a brand new diet, avoid sweets, avoid soda and things of that nature. But unless I've changed those habits that I had in the past, I guarantee you I'm going right back to my old ways of living, and I'm going to eventually rationalize that this wasn't the right diet for me, and I'll do it another time. So I want to spend the next couple of minutes talking about who do you need to be in order to become exceptional, in order to be the best you can be. And let's start with the first one. You need to be a good listener. We learn sometimes from listening. Number two, you have to be solutions-oriented. Plenty of people are out there complaining about what took place. The real winners, the real exceptional people, are those who are focused on solutions. How do we fix it? What do we learn from it? Number three is be on top of current news. Get a subscription to a newspaper. I particularly like the Wall Street Journal. Watch the news in the evening. Be selective in what type of information you evaluate and analyze. But you want to be able to have a conversation with most people on a worldly event. You just don't want to sit there with your hands in your pocket staring at the wall when maybe a key business source wants to engage you in a conversation. So be worldly, be up to date on your news. Number four, be professional and diplomatic. There's no need to be a bull in a china shop when you're trying to get things done. People respond better when they're treated like people, and that means you're professional and diplomatic. You can still get your point across by being that way. Number five, be truthful. The minute we find somebody who is not telling the truth, who's trying to put the spin on a bad situation, I don't know about you, but they lose all credibility in my eyes, and they can't be trusted. And trust is your currency. It's your currency to accomplish whatever you want. Number six, be clear on your vision. If you want people to follow you, then you have to be clear on where you want to go, because you're going to explain to them why it's important for them to join in with you to make that vision a reality. Number seven, especially involving your team, be clear on your expectations for them and for yourself if you're launching a new product or project and so forth. Know what you want to accomplish. Be clear about it. Be realistic, but I don't want you to hold back. Number eight, be open to ways to enhance your knowledge. We should always be looking to learn something every day. If you can learn one thing every day, imagine how much improvement you can build into your career, into your business over the span of 12 months. Learn something every day. Number nine, be able to see mistakes as a learning opportunity. We've talked about that before in the mindset, but mistakes can be valuable. If you go out of your way to avoid making mistakes, you are shortcutting yourself, you're short-circuiting your development, and more than likely you're setting yourself up for more mistakes. Number 10, be comfortable with being uncomfortable. All of us, as we grow, if we're becoming exceptional, will be required to try new behaviors. And when we try something new for the first time, we feel uncomfortable. Some people don't like that feeling of being uncomfortable, and they quit and go back to their old way of doing things. What I want you to do is to be comfortable with being uncomfortable and push through it until you master the new habit or skill. Number 11, be confident in what you're truly able to do. You have gifts. I don't talk about potential first because to me, potential is something you can't really evaluate. But capabilities you can. We each have within us various capabilities, skills that we haven't used completely. Be confident in your ability to use those skills. What's the worst that could happen? You might make a mistake, but as we've said before, you'll learn from that mistake. Next is be able to confront your fears. I think it was Jack Lemmon who said, failure is not so bad. The fear of failure is what paralyzes you. Fear can paralyze you into taking no action, and no action is far worse than making a mistake. Manage your fears. And finally, value your time. There are certain things we all want to do. You want to find the value of your time in terms of integrating your personal life with your business life. You can't be 100% in both at the same time. You really can't separate business from personal life. So it's not that it's work-life balance. It's work-life integration. But value your time. Make sure that you're working on the right things with the time that you have available to you. The next component of mindset, having a healthy mindset, is for you to recognize that every day you should be starting out asking yourself the right questions. How often have you seen in professional sports, when a team is in the lead, they then get conservative and they begin to play not to lose? And what happens? They lose. Same works for us in life. If we try to play the game of life or the game of business hoping not to lose, we invariably do lose and bring upon more damage than is necessary. What I want you to ask yourself every day is, what do I need to do today to be successful? Or what can I be successful in today? Very few people wake up in the morning and say to themselves, well, how can I fail today? I humorously sometimes tell people that inside of us there's a genetic reaction that sort of works like this, that the minute we stand up from bed, a little voice in our head says, okay, how do we make easy stuff hard today? It exists. You've got to fight that voice, and the way to fight that voice is to be prepared to get up in the morning. First thing you say to yourself in the mirror is, what will I do to be successful today? Now, how do you create that to occur? One, you have clarity and focus as to what is you're trying to accomplish that day. Remember what I said before about your top 3 tasks. Set yourself up for success. At the end of the day, remind yourself of everything that went well for you. The last thing you think about before you go to sleep at night is to do a mental accounting of all the good things that happened and the things that you accomplished. Now, some might say, Chris, nothing good happened today. My response to them is, well, you didn't get killed in a car crash. There's always something good in your life, and you need to focus on that in order to nurture and develop mindset. So start your day every day with the right question, which is, what will I do to be successful today? If you ever spent time coaching a Little League team of 11 and 12-year-old little boys, you know what it's like when they begin to banter back and forth on the other team when the other team makes a mistake. And they'll brag about how good they are and they're so much better than the other team. And it was in those circumstances that I coined the phrase quiet confidence. Quiet confidence to me is there's no need for you to tell anybody how good you are. There's no need for you to brag about it. Quiet confidence means you demonstrate your abilities by your actions, by what you do. I would tell the kids on the team, just go out there, field that ball the best possible way, make the smart play, don't waste your time at bat. Do the best you can with what you have. Show others what your skills are like and how well you can execute. And that to me is confidence, or quiet confidence, in a business setting. We sometimes feel reluctant to approach people to ask for help. Quiet confidence means you're willing to go to someone and ask for help to get information you need to be successful. Quiet confidence means you practice positive self-talk about your abilities and your ability to perform in a desired way. It also means that you don't blame anybody for what takes place. You live with what occurs and you try to make the best of it to correct it. Quiet confidence means you focus on only those things you can control. You don't worry about anything outside of your control unless it will have a detrimental impact on you. Then you need to determine a plan B or even a plan C. Quiet confidence also means you ignore negative feedback and focus solely on working on the fundamentals and executing them in the best way possible. And finally, quiet confidence means that you recognize that the only competition you have every day is the person you face in the mirror at the beginning of that day. That is your competition, no one else. Others may be in your space, but your true competition is yourself. And what you want to be able to do is to make the decision that every day you want to be a little bit better than you were the day before, but you want to do that on a consistent basis. And that's where your quiet confidence factors in. The last component of mindset in our Driving Business Growth series is what I call mental toughness. Look, we all work very hard. We all face challenges. Some of them can be daunting, but nonetheless, there isn't a challenge out there that we can't solve if we put our mind to it. But if you don't have mental toughness, and by that I mean the wherewithal to stick with it till it's completed, to see it through, that when we reach a barrier or an obstacle, we figure out a way to go around it, or figure out a different course, or figure out a way to go through it. That's what mental toughness means to me. Now, to prepare yourself to be mentally tough, you've got to give yourself the edge. The first thing we want to do is to remove all the clutter, the unnecessary clutter that surrounds us, whether it's physical items on your desk, an inbox on your computer that has way too many emails that are so outdated they don't need to be there, but that whole visual of seeing all those emails listed there is enough at times to discourage people. So you want to be able to clean that clutter out. Next, when we talk about mental toughness, we want to talk about you having the ability to focus on winning. Not a winning at all costs where others are hurt, but focus on winning. As someone once said to me, they don't give out trophies for second and third place here in the business world. You either win or you don't. So you want to focus on winning. And to do that, you need to have clarity as exactly what winning is to you and your organization. Without that clarity, you can't focus on it. And finally, when we talk about mental toughness, we have to talk about the importance of risk-taking. Not crazy, wild risks, but well thought out, logical risks based upon the data you had available to you and the reward that you wanted to achieve by taking the risk. What's the downside risk? What's the upside reward? You need to be able to evaluate risk in order to grow your business and for you to grow personally. So when we talk about mental toughness again, think about starting to think about possibilities rather than downsides. Think about what could happen versus what could go wrong. When we start to think that way, we become more focused and we develop that mental toughness to see us through what will be those periodic challenging times where we question our own abilities. But if you're mentally tough, you'll be able to deal with that and push through it. Well, we've just finished segment 1 of pillar number 1 in driving business growth under leadership, under self-awareness, self-improvement, on mindset. Now, we covered 8 separate components of what I believe contributes to having a good, healthy mindset to help you be successful. And let me just run through them real quick. We talked about self-belief. We talked about developing a healthy sense of urgency. We talked about preparation every day with your game-winning mantra. We talked about confidence and willingness. We talked about who do you need to be. Again, developing new habits. Who is that core person? We talked about asking yourself the right question every day to focus on success rather than losses or failure. We then talked about quiet confidence, your ability to demonstrate how good you are through your actions. And finally, we talked about mental toughness. How do you equip yourself to handle those very challenging times to be able to push yourself through it to whatever goal you're trying to achieve? So here's what I want you to do. I want you to go back through those 8 concepts, review this video again, and identify 2 of the 8 that you believe warrant closer inspection on your part that you believe you could be better at or you could strengthen. Identify 1 or 2 tasks, no more than that, For each of those two categories, or if you feel more comfortable doing just one, that's fine, but identify one or two tasks that you're willing to tackle over the next 30, 60, or 90 days to either create a new habit, learn a new skill, or strengthen a skill or habit you already have. That's the way to make change, is to commit to taking action. And you'll see more of that concept, committing to take action, as we go through the remainder of the Driving Business Growth program.